Look, Daniel, there's been some people that have talked to me about you in the 49er fan base. There's an article you wrote.
Oh, I hear from the 49ers fans every day. Those are some of the best fans in the world. I love those guys. You know what I love? You know what I love the most about 49ers fans is the passion. The passion that comes through in all the comments.
Yeah. So here's one. Linda Tinjum, thank you for joining into the show. Really, Daniel Kelly, the guy who said the probability of Trey Lance being a bust was 100%. The guy who said after the Senior Bowl it was more realistic that Christian Watson runs a 4.62 than a 4.38. Yes, this is that Daniel Kelly, by the way, Linda.
That's me.
So I just saw you recently put up that you think it would be the worst decision ever if the 49ers got rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. I've read your article when it came out with Trey Lance during the draft that any GM that drafts Trey Lance should be fired immediately.
Even considers drafting.
Considers. Even worse than actually doing it. So obviously you have some very strong feelings when it comes to the quarterback position with the 49ers. And let's just put it in perspective. You seem like it's not just Trey Lance. You've been critical of a lot of, quarterbacks as well. So there's obviously maybe a certain fit that you see, but let's talk about it. Let's go first. Why do you feel like it would be a bad decision for the 49ers to get rid of Jimmy? Because there's obviously a contention with the 49er fans that believe Jimmy is, safe because he helped change the trajectory of the 49ers. But there is a big contention, me included, that feel like he's a limited quarterback. There's, you're kind of scaling down the playbook with him. He doesn't tend to make the deep throws that can open up the offense for a Kyle Shanahan run offense. And then there's the injury history as well. So what is it about Jimmy G that you look to that you feel like, hey, this is a guy that the 49ers should continue to keep on their roster and be their starter?
The intangibles.
Okay.
And this is something that I think attracted Bill Belichick to him in the first place when he was up in New England. The intangibles that Jimmy G have, when I watch Jimmy G play for the San Francisco 49ers, he has this calm, cool, collected, just this ability to draw the team together and bring the team together. I mean, and bottom line, this is a guy that's almost led the 49ers almost to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. So to me, I think he's 33-14 as a starter. He's somebody with a very, impressive football resume when it comes to, being drafted by Bill Belichick. And he's somebody that he's just got this charisma to him that it's unseen, but it's an ability to draw the team together and the ability to do what needs to be done with Kyle Shanahan's system. And I just think that he's a natural born leader. And he's somebody that, has been very impressive to me.
Then I agree. I think one thing that, gets overlooked, he's been in a very tough quarterback situation with the 49ers. Kyle Shanahan has flirted with every single quarterback every offseason that Jimmy Garoppolo has been there. And, Jimmy's handled it with a lot of class, never made it an issue. A lot of class. Good point. Never was a me guy and stuff like that. So I think the 49ers definitely lucked out with a guy like Jimmy who, was able to bring maturity to the position and a stability as far as a personality that the team really needed when it was going through, so many struggles and overturn of a culture. However, me watching every single 49ers game, there's a lot of positive that Jimmy did bring. But there was a lot of games that we were winning in spite of Jimmy Garoppolo. The defense, played lights out so many games to keep it close enough for Jimmy to finally get on track or the offense to finally get on track. So I think there's, some of us fans that look at it and it's just like, sometimes Jimmy made these wins a lot more difficult than they needed to be. It was a close, eked out victory instead of a blowout if Jimmy wasn't throwing interceptions in the red zone and stuff like that. So I understand your point, but I also see a lot of pushback that I've seen personally about Jimmy. But I do have a lot of excitement surrounding Trey Lance. And you're kind of killing my vibe and killing my bubble of just all of this that I love about Trey Lance. But let's get into it. Clearly, you believe Trey Lance isn't going to be, one of these top QBs out of this last year's draft or just in general. What is it
Mhm.
that you see out of Trey Lance? Because a lot of those same intangibles that you talk about with Jimmy are the things that people spoke about as far as him with his, 1 year at NDSU and the type of leadership that he brings to the position as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let me go back, because my scouting evaluating of Trey Lance, started before he was with the 49ers. So this is nothing personal with the
Right.
49ers nation. Okay.
Right.
This
We're
I
still
was
going
a
to take it that way, though.
no, don't. And I'm still gonna get the Linda's point too.
Go ahead.
But when I first watched him, I was invited onto a podcast, just similar to this one, and they gave me three guys to look at, and one of the guys was Trey Lance up in North Dakota. I didn't know Trey Lance from the next guy. Okay, when I turned on the film, when I watched him at North Dakota, he struck me as the first thought that went through my mind. And I can't control these thoughts that go through my mind. It just happens. I mean, 40 years of it, just an encyclopedic, experience of watching the game. The first thought that went through my mind was, this guy's a poor man's Donovan McNabb. First thought I had. And to me, it was just, I looked at him, I studied him, because the show I was going to go on was pretty high on him. I could get that impression from them. So I really did the work on him. And it was just somebody that didn't impress me. Didn't impress me as a runner. Didn't impress me throwing the football. It was somebody that I thought, okay, maybe a fifth, sixth round. I mean, this was my first impression. Maybe a fifth, sixth round guy that you bring in. Maybe he's on the practice squad. Maybe he's a guy that runs your scout team. Something like that. And so that's what was my first impression. Well, obviously, just like this year with Kenny Pickett, the wheels started spinning really fast in the Trey Lance thing. And all of a sudden, now he's worked himself into a first round discussion. Now he's worked himself into a top 10 discussion. Now, all of a sudden, the 49ers are trading 3 number 1 draft picks for the guy to move up to get him, at number 3. And so I was like, wow, really? 3 number 1 draft picks. But I mean, I released the reports before the draft. That's what I always do to make sure I get on the record before it happens.
Right.
And, and I was just shocked. I was really shocked. I thought, if you're going to trade, I mean, first of all, if you're walking out of the top 10, you better have a person, a quarterback that's a gamer, that's a baller. Okay. And this is not a developmental project. Save that stuff for the 3rd, 4th round. If you want to bring a guy and develop him and, work with him a couple of years and watch him film and that kind of, I mean, that's what the 3rd or 4th, developmental rounds are for. You're talking about a first round pick. You're talking about a top 10 pick. Then the compound things, you're spending 3 number 1 picks on a quarterback like this. This is somebody, in my mind, is got to walk in from day one as the big man on campus and just take the reins and run with it. This is a pro-ready, polished, ready-to-go quarterback for 3 number 1s. I mean, if I hear, obviously, Deshaun's gone through Watson's gone through his share of the legal issues. But when I hear 3 number 1 draft picks, I'm thinking Deshaun Watson. That's what I'm thinking when I hear 3 number 1s for a guy, or like what we see with the trade for Russell Wilson, or the possible trades we see in these other places, or what Kyler Murray may get, or that's what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking about a guy that comes into the team is running like this option trade package thing that like he's not the guy. I mean, the one thing that Jacksonville and the Jets did both was that they cleared out the guys that they had and they made those rookies their guy. Well, the 49ers did not, in my mind, did not have enough confidence in Trey Lance to deal Jimmy G right off the bat. And so I asked myself, well, why?
Well, I think, to push back a little bit,
please.
Obviously Trey is a very young quarterback, right? He's the youngest quarterback ever drafted. And he only had that 1 year of football, really. We're really judging him off of 1 year of football, college football. And as far as that 1 year in the system, he won pretty much every award that you could win in that division, as far as, quarterback, leader, so on and so forth. Went undefeated, didn't throw an interception. Clearly, didn't throw the ball a lot. He averaged, 16 passes per game. But, they ended up winning a championship. And I think where the 49ers looked at him is he was somebody who was familiar with the system that the 49ers would run. He is somebody who could play under center. He's somebody who's pretty good, if not elite, at play action. And he's somebody who, Kyle Shanahan talks about it all the time. I want somebody who could run like Lamar and throw like Drew Brees, right? And I think that the ability to be a dual threat, yet somebody who still likes to throw before he likes to run, is what Kyle Shanahan saw, and just what he thinks and envisions what this offense could be with the guy who has the mobility that he has, as well as just the ability to make plays. And us as 49er fans, we're seeing footage out of practice that are just unbelievable throws that we haven't seen a quarterback be able to make in quite some time here with the 49ers. In the spot duty that we've seen him play, we've seen him progress week after week after week. And I think for the 49ers as well, this draft class, quarterback-wise, a lot of people are saying that if Trey Lance came out this year, he would be the number one quarterback, number one pick in the draft. So I think the 49ers kind of had a position where they were like, we have Jimmy still for a year. We can take this guy who we know may not be elite immediately, but we feel like, in 2-3 years can really be the guy that we want him to be. So it's kind of like a unique situation for the 49ers to get somebody like this. But I do understand your point. Usually when you're doing 3 first-round picks, you want a guy that's going to come in and be your starter from week one. I think the 49ers just were in a unique opportunity where they had a Super Bowl ready roster and a quarterback that could possibly take them to the Super Bowl, but definitely knew they needed an upgrade because, Jimmy wasn't going to be the answer long-term just because of his injury woes.
Yeah. And I think too, I mean, I was a huge Mac Jones fan. With Alabama. And I thought that my thought was the 49ers could just sit where they were at and take Mac Jones. And Mac Jones obviously, did very well for New England this year. And I just don't know. To me, it's the thing about Trey Lance, and I understand why everybody likes him, but to me, he lacks confidence. That's the big thing to me. And I watched him, I charted all 100 plays that he was in the preseason, and I wrote about in Draft Diamonds. I charted each and every play because I knew people would grill me about this guy eventually, right? Mm-hmm. And here I am.
Right.
So, but he seems to lose confidence as the downs progress. And third down was a huge liability for Trey Lance in the preseason. And to me, he lacks confidence as a quarterback. So, I don't know, I would have been a lot more comfortable with the 49ers. Again, this was all pre-draft, so it wasn't anything against the 49ers organization. I think they've been a lot better off staying where they're at and getting Mac Jones.
Now, clearly, obviously, pre-draft, draft, we're going off of college tape, but now we have some NFL tape on Trey Lance. He started 2 games. One game was pretty much an outlier. I don't know what Kyle Shanahan was doing with the play calling and that. They just ran him like it was just all draws, it felt like. Right. But the second game against Houston, especially that second half, we really got to see him open up and throw the ball pretty well. He put up some really good numbers both through the air and, on the ground as well. And we kind of saw what we believe Trey Lance could be. And, that game, a lot of people look at it, it's against Houston. But that was a must-win game for the 49ers to be able to make the playoff push that they ended up making. And that same Houston defense beat or helped, the team beat Justin Herbert and the Chargers the week before. And they were on a 3-game winning streak or 2-game winning streak at that time. So it wasn't like it was just some, throwaway defense. They had been playing pretty well. And Trey Lance did really, really well against them. So now that you've seen some tape on him and just his evolution, because definitely from his start against Arizona to his start against Houston, completely different player in my book as far as just the evolution that we saw. And Shanahan as well, being more comfortable with the play calling for a guy like him. Are you still adamant that this guy can't be the guy, or are you seeing the type of progression?
Yeah, I'm still the same. No, I'm not backing off this. This is part of my GM resume. This is part of the thing that's going to launch me into a GM's chair. And in all fairness, I did not see the Houston game, but I did see the one pass he made that everybody talks about with the touchdown pass that the receiver had the weight on for a little bit. So yeah, I'm not sold on that one game changing things for me. I think he threw a handful of picks in the preseason. It could have been more. They bounced off the defensive back's hands and such. And yeah, I don't, is seeing somebody that, I mean, Trey Lance cannot run like Lamar Jackson. He cannot throw the ball like Drew Brees. I mean, not to your point, Sunil, but to Kyle Shanahan's point, I would say that to him. And I'm not a big fan of Trey Lance. And I think, and I'll say this to kind of encapsulate things, is the longer the 49ers hang on to Jimmy G, the more uncomfortable Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch really are, because actions speak louder than words with Trey Lance. So if this goes on and they keep him as this progresses and Jimmy G is still in the roster when the season begins, they can come out and say whatever they want to say. But the reality is, why are they not going with him? That would be my point. If they hang on to him, that would be my point. It'd be like, why haven't they traded Jimmy G at this point? Why is he still there? Why didn't they trade him last year if they were so confident? They saw all this stuff in practice that you're alluding to. You saw the practices, I didn't. Mm-hmm. But why aren't they trading Jimmy G? I mean, actions speak louder than words. I believe they know he's not ready for this.
Tough to say. There are some guys on here that agree with you, though, Daniel. Right, Ken, this guy's really? Right. We need Jimmy back.
I want to be pen pals with these guys.
There's
like two guys in the country.
No, it's actually, there's a lot of people that agree with you, even in the faithful fan base. Joey is some guy like me. I'm glad we have a dual threat. Trey has a whole offseason to prep. Glad he's not Zach Wilson.
Oh, I'm not sold on Zach Wilson either. Trust me. I said Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance are all going to be busts. So I'm not a big Zach Wilson fan. So, yeah, no, it's yeah.
Davis Holman, a scout for the Jets. Who are you scouting? Where is their talent? So, to save some bail for Daniel, he was a scout a while back. He's no longer a scout for the Jets. And rewind the episode. You can learn more about his past. We don't have to go back into it. Let's see. Itchy 95. If they drafted Wilson, they would never get rid of Jimmy GQ. So kind of saying if the 49ers drafted Wilson, they would be in the same situation, I guess.
Again, I'm not a Zach Wilson fan, so yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Mac Jones would have been the guy, in my opinion.
Gotcha. Well, I'm gonna end on this, Daniel. You also thought that Peyton Manning was the first.
See, I gave that to you. I gave that to you. So you would have never known that if I didn't give that to you. That shows how much I love being on your show. That shows how much I love being on your show.
Yeah, I didn't do my research to find that, but I smooshed you enough to drop your guard, to give me the ammo that I needed to end the show on a high note.